Hi there, I'm Mountain Jace and this is Train Don't Strain, a channel solely for helping the normal gym goer realize their own peak fitness potential. It's not for those relatively few fanatics that juice up on gear or work out 7 times a week or have genetics that mean they merely have to look at a barbell to build bigger muscles. No, it's squarely for those of us that have busy lives, limited amount of time, and a desire to embrace an evolutionary approach to working out that means they train harder, smarter, and quicker to get the job done, so that they then can take their massively improved fitness out into the real world and so live life to the max. Not only won't I be giving you any shortcuts, in truth there aren't any, but I'll actually be pinpointing the opposite, how to work more intensely and productively in every rep and set you do, so that you are able to optimize your gym sessions, not fritter them away cheat training. At its core, this means I'll show you how to isolate and then train a single muscle at a time in order to take it into the debilitation zone. This is the point beyond which you have microtorn so many muscle fibers that the body is compelled, out of self-preservation, to not only repair the muscle, but to build it back better, thus bestowing future performance enhancements. If you fail to enter this zone, as most people I see at gym do, because they allow their bodies to cheat train by letting bones take the strain or repeatedly whipsawing their body's considerable mass to make an external weight move, then all that happens is the brain simply includes your time at gym under the heading of general maintenance. Which means when it gets round to repairing the muscle, and there's no hurry because so much of it is left uninjured, it will do so only back to its former state and no more. In other words, you will have failed to get fitter. And as time passes, you'll actually become less so, even though you might be a regular gym goer. Think about that while you consider whether or not to subscribe to my Fitness Evolution channel. Your best years wasted because you never actually learnt how to command your body to train correctly. Anyway, time is precious, so let's jump straight in. Today I want to show you exactly how to train the back or lat muscles. But before I do, I highly recommend you quickly click over and watch my recent video called "You'll be shocked, angry and embarrassed by this simple gym test," to see exactly how well, or not as the case so often is, you have trained your lats up to this point. I'm guessing the results will help add extra urgency as to why you should then resume watching this particular video. Welcome back. So, as I was saying, today is back day. This is a muscle that almost no one manages to train into the debilitation zone. The reason being, it is so incredibly easy to let your body cheat train the weights on the machine up and down, giving the false impression you're doing the exercise correctly. So let me start by highlighting exactly what I mean by cheat training in this case. The first thing everyone does when their arms are straight up above them, right at the start of each rep, is incorporate a leg thrust with a hip rotation backwards, which combines to accelerate the bar downwards towards them. At no point are your lat muscle fibers being torn through intense use, even though the bar is moving towards you. The reason people instinctively do this at the very same point is because their arms are locked straight. Thus, a 1 centimeter thrust from their legs equates directly to a 1 centimeter move in the bar. Whereas if they try to thrust when the arm is bent, it would simply cause the elbow joint to straighten without the bar moving. It's akin to having a piece of rope tied to a stone. When it is taut, if you pull it, the stone immediately moves in the same direction by the same amount. But if it is slack, the kinks in the rope just get straighter. This concept is extremely important to understand and fully embrace because it explains how and why on every exercise in the gym people cheat at the exact same point of each repetition. Knowing this fact will empower you to avoid giving up the potential gains that are needed to take a muscle into the debilitation zone. Another very common mistake is that people pull the bar down on a parallel rather than an intersecting path to their lat muscles, which means they never engage. Because to do so would require the line of force to have to do a 90-degree turn, which, like flowing water, it never naturally wants to do. It would much rather take the path of least resistance. So make sure you're not in effect pressing the cable vertically downwards, and as such, the lower it goes, the greater amount of your body mass is now above it, which allows you to simply displace your own weight into the bar to make it fall. Rather, it's a pulling action where no other part of your body moves other than your elbows up to your shoulder joint, along a line that passes in through your chest and out through your back. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. But the key is the cable should not be rising and falling vertically, but at a constant angle that draws a line through your lats. This is the only way to engage this muscle in its entirety along the positive and negative range of motion. Finally, make sure you're not simply hanging your body weight off the bar by letting your bum drop onto the seat on the pulling or positive section and then reducing this effect slightly with your legs taking a bit of the strain to allow gravity to pull the machine's weights down again. As with all exercises where you are seated, once you sit down, the amount of force your bum applies thereon should be constant at all times. If it lifts off and then drops back down again, you have not trained any muscle and have merely used mass displacement as a means of seesawing the external weight. This will never result in any muscle being built back better. Anyway, let me put my lats where my mouth is and show you exactly what I mean. Okay, here I am starting my first lat pull-down set. The key things to look out for and learn from are the following. Notice that I never just release the bar on the negative or return part of the move, which would result in the muscle going back into a rest state and mean that I've lost at least 50% of all potential gains. Instead, I use the 1:3 ratio, 1 being however long it took me to do the positive range, I take 3 times as long doing the negative. Notice that I'm not thrusting backwards at exactly the same point in each rep to create the downward movement of the bar, and also that my bum isn't rising and falling on the seat as I displace my own body weight to seesaw the machine's weight. It's important to keep an eye on the weights as you train. Here, you can clearly see that as I start the positive range, which sends the stack higher, I begin slowly because my arms at this point are straight, so it would be easy for the body to cheat and use leg thrusts or stomach crunches rather than lat pulls. And that's the first of 3 sets done. Notice how deeply I'm breathing. This confirms that I must have used muscle rather than bone or my body's mass to make the weight rise and fall, because my lungs are now desperate to refill my blood with fresh oxygen. There is no method by which you can get fitter without this outward confirmation. Remember, if you're not breathing heavily, you've done squat diddly. Okay, so now I've jumped to my third set, taking a slightly different angle to help you see the level of control I'm using to raise and lower the weight, which I have obviously reduced
because I've already torn great chunks of muscle fibre, meaning I can't be as strong as I was at the start. That's just simple mechanics. And that's it. Lat-Pull-Downs done the evolutionary way, with full muscle engagement, oodles of oxygen burning, no cheating, and no leg thrusting or body seesawing. In other words, I've isolated and trained my lats deep into the debilitation zone so that my body is forced to build back better. Now go do the right thing. This is Mountain Jace saying out. Out!